that what really resonated with me because most of these business owners were 10, 20, 30 years older than me. And they had so much wisdom and they gave me a lot of insight that I would never have read or watched or, thought of even learning from others.
My name is Paul Harvey and this is Life, Passion and Business. We're about helping you explore, finding your passion for life and the work that you do. But it's so much more than that. It's about finding clues to the big life questions. What does it mean to be successful? What is the meaning of life? If you're looking for more, then join me on this journey where together we will discover through interviews, tools and tips how to live life full of meaning, passion and purpose. My guest, John Vuong, was born into a Vietnamese family. His parents had liquidated all of their life in the war-torn Vietnam to move the family across the world to Toronto, Canada. This conversation is about resilience, relationships and the importance of having fun. It was a tough childhood with 4 children in a small 3-bedroom government accommodation. For John, family is everything. The values and importance of family have stayed with him. At 10 years old, John started a paper round to help support his family. He learned the ethics of hard work, do your chores and support each other. It was a simple upbringing with very strong values. All of John's siblings went to college and on to become engineers. He chose a different route into business studies. During this time he had over 30 different jobs and was lucky enough to get on an exchange programme to the UK where he discovered his love for travel. After college, John went into sales at the ground level with telesales jobs and door-to-door cold calling. It was the hard grunt work that generations of old school salespeople went through. However, John has always been driven, so he read all of the sales books he could get his hands on. He listened to the tapes from the big names in the industry, people like Zig Ziglar and Brian Tracy. He learned about the values of showing up early, being present, staying positive, motivated, and above all, developing a thick skin. 15 years ago, John landed himself a job with Yellow Pages business telephone directory. This was in the days when people used a physical paper directory for business searches. His daily task was to call business owners about being included in the directory. So engaged in that curiosity, he treated each conversation as an opportunity to discover more about the business and life. Through that opportunity to speak with hundreds of business owners, he learned so much about what was needed to run a business. But more than that, he was able to explore the why they were doing business. This combined with his desire to help led him to start his own digital agency. Success for John is about continued growth and development. He is a big reader, consuming up to 2 books a week. Today, John runs an SEO agency and over the last 8 years it has grown to employ over 30 people and supporting businesses all over the world. Our conversation is brisk and energetic. You will hear that John has retained his zest for life, excitement for what he does and what is possible. John is relentlessly curious. We explore the importance of resilience, building relationships and seeking new experience. I hope you enjoy the conversation with John Vuong. I am here today with John Vuong. Now, John is an SEO guy, I think, and judging by the picture I've got in front of me, because you're a podcast, you can't see this, but he is surrounded by books. So there obviously must be a bit of book thing in here. You're obviously a big reader. So welcome to the program, John.
Well, thanks a lot, Paul. I'm excited to be on your show today, and hopefully we can talk a little bit about SEO and business and passion.
Yeah, I know, but you see, the point is that everyone comes to this show, we're going to talk about my business, and I kind of go, no, you're not. I'm going to talk about you. I don't care about your business. Well, I do a little bit, but ideally, this is life, passion, and business, and it's about the thing. It's about the journey that we all take in this thing called life. Because at the end of the day, life is not about making money or shareholder value. It's about the journey that we're all on. So tell me, what's your journey been like? Where did it all start for you?
It's amazing. I mean, I just turned 40 last year, but it was not as glamorous as I wanted because of this pandemic here in Toronto, Canada, complete lockdown. I was really wanting to go away with all my friends and family, right?
Yeah, of
Doing a
course.
little vacation to really celebrate celebration of 40, right? And it would have been amazing. But I mean, it's been a ride. I mean, I've been ultra curious along my last 40 years. I've always dreamt and wanted to run a business, but besides that, I'm a father. I love my wife. I love my family. I love my friends. I love my community. I love the business end of things, relationships along the way. But along the way has been a lot of struggles as well.
So how did it start for you, my friend? I mean, this is about the idea of the passion journey that we're all looking for. It's this idea of what is it that drives us through? What's the thread that came from the very beginning, or not? I mean, I don't know. I mean, some people do have that thread, some people don't. What was
Yeah.
what was you? Where were you from?
So grew up in a smaller town outside of Toronto, Canada,
Hmm.
in a city called Hamilton.
Hmm.
Fourth child of immigrant parents from Vietnam,
Hmm.
and they just arrived. So a couple weeks later, my mom had me, and I was the Canadian-born child, right?
Yeah.
And parents didn't know the language, didn't know a lot about the community, didn't know anything about Canada, and they came with nothing, right? Because it was a war back then, and they just liquidated all their assets for the betterment of the next generation, which was us children.
It's
So
just so amazing, that, isn't it? I mean, people don't realize that. I guess Europe had that, sort of like 180 years ago, but there were wars in the last century, and people like your family actually experienced them firsthand. Yeah.
yeah, so so my upbringing was different, I would say, but for me it was normal. I mean, growing up, government housing, we didn't have much, right? We had
Yeah.
one toy among four people. We lived in a smaller home with two or three bedrooms, but seven people living in it.
Yeah.
We took care of each other. We had a lot of chores. We had to work hard for everything. We had to learn the ropes. We didn't have support like what I see my son having today with real a lot of my friends and colleagues and cousins and whatnot. They have way more abundance of resources and knowledge and access.
Mm.
But at that time, we didn't know a lot of things, right? We had food, we had shelter, we had each other. We never had a play date or let alone a sleepover. We didn't travel to the extent that I'm able to fly now.
Mm.
We went 1 hour away in terms of like that's our one vacation once a year. We went to a festival in Toronto because my parents got a free ticket, right? Once a year. So for me, it was different, I would say, but I would never say it was not fun because I had a lot of fun. I had siblings, I
It's
had
funny,
community, right?
you said my parents. All right, so I'm only 10 years ahead of you as such. I'm 57, but my parents were born in the war in World War II, and their idea of holidays, or certainly my mother's idea of a holiday, they went hop picking with their family. That's what they did. They went down to Kent and picked hops. It was hard work, but it was a big community, a camaraderie, and that sort of stuff. So yeah, as you say, going away an hour to a jazz festival, whatever it was something special, something different. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and everyone has their thing, right? And
Yeah,
that
yeah,
was our thing that really bonded us, and we
yeah,
look forward to it every year, right? So,
yeah.
and then as I grew up, I had a lot of jobs along the way. Up until I finished my college university, I probably had like 30 different jobs.
So were you the first in your family to go to university, go to college?
No, so all my siblings were engineers. Some are nuclear
That's a,
engineers, computer engineers, environmental, all of them master's degrees. So my parents did a really good job, like up bringing us up in a really good education
well,
system, like hard
hang on,
work.
hang on. I need to stop there because you're talking about an immigrant family that came to the country with nothing and managed to put their kids through college.
Yeah, so we here in Canada, we have loans, right? So everyone got loans
Oh, okay.
to
All
support
right.
each other, right?
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Like my parents didn't have money to support it. We didn't even have a car, like let alone like money to
No,
just,
but still, it's still an investment of time and effort and
yeah.
resources, isn't it? However.
So to get in, I mean, we didn't have the tutoring and all the stuff. We just had the normal public system to get us to university college to then get us to pursue more, right? Like we
Just
had
again, so you
co-op,
got one of your siblings is a nuclear physicist,
nuclear engineer. They're
nuclear
all
engineer,
engineers.
nuclear
Yeah.
engineer, and it's all in engineering. And the other one is what?
Computer and one's environmental.
Wow, great, fantastic. So, what was your specialty? What was your
So
track?
I was the odd one out there. I studied business finance, not in the engineering school. I went to a different school altogether. And that's where my parents thought I was oddball. I was like not having a stable income, kind of, younger,
Well, it could have been
partying.
worse. I mean, it could have. You could have studied sculpture or something like that, couldn't you? I mean, it was
Yeah,
business. I mean, you you could have done pottery.
yeah.
So you did do something which was sort of vocational.
Yes. But it was fun, right? Like for
Yeah,
me, I had the opportunity to then move away for the first time.
yeah,
I was then able to do an exchange program out in England. So I went to school in Lancaster University up in the Lake District
yeah.
for a year, and it was fun, like an opportunity to fly. And just to give you a story, like I traveled in October of 2011, right? So
Yep.
shortly after the 9/11 attack.
Yep.
And I never even had a suitcase, travel first time. So going to the airport, everyone, security guards everywhere, like super high, severe level. Everyone had guns, machine guns. And I was like, this is normal. I'm ultra safe now. Like I just feel ultra weird, but this is new to me because every experience was new.
Yeah.
So for me, just being out there, learning the ropes, survival, living on my own, different country, brain drain, learning from other cultures. It was fun. The way people live, eat, the lifestyle, the pub environment, right? Like here in
Yeah.
Canada is a little bit different. So every culture is different. So I was able to just surround myself and engulf myself with living presently at that moment. And it was fun. So I was able to backpack afterwards by working a little bit and then traveling a little bit. Um, it, and that's what life is about, right?
So
Like that
what?
whole journey.
So you did the college bit, and you came out with a degree of some description. What did you do then?
Uh,
Where did life take you?
yeah. So after my business finance degree, I got my first job in advertising sales. So
Nice.
I forgot that I didn't tell you, but like growing up, I had a lot of jobs, right? 20, 30 jobs, side hustles and whatnot. But
Oh
I
wow.
did start a newspaper route when I was like 10 years old or something. And it was really to help support my family
Of
too,
course.
right? Like
Yeah. Yeah.
bread, milk, whatever. It was all just to help each other. Like we were tight knit. I had a lot of side hustles, like, odd jobs and whatnot. But this was my first real job, like a real salary. And I was like excited. I got this huge loan from the school I have to pay back. And I just said, look, I got to eat it. I got to figure out how to be the best version of myself. I didn't know how to sell properly. So I started reading and listening to audio tapes, right? Of all the Zig Ziglars, Brian Tracy, all the sales gurus,
All the
right?
big sales gurus, all the names. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
So just consuming all that, like reading, listening, watching, and then just following the habits of the successful salespeople in the organization.
So, what was the big takeaway you got from those hours of listening?
I would say all little tidbits of like just being proactive
Hmm.
habits, right?
Yeah.
Showing up early, being present, making sure that rejection doesn't impact you, right? Like staying positive. Everything is all about like always trying to pick yourself up when things are down,
Yeah.
staying motivated, continue persevering, and having fun along the way.
Yeah.
So sales is not for everyone. I mean, I was doing telephone sales,
Oh
and then I
gosh.
did door-to-door sales,
Oh
and
dear
then
me.
I didn't even have a book of business, right? I had to go out and pick up my own book of business. I dealt with real estate agents. I deal with insurance people. Like these were hard salespeople, right? To deal with. So I cracked it. I figured it out. And then I stuck with advertising sales for 10 years. So imagine like 10 years of just having a thick skin, not worrying about rejection. That's what I did. So now I feel like I'm good at sales. To be able to endure it, become one of the top in the organizations that I work at, and then starting something different altogether.
But
And
I get the impression though, I know they say you got to do the time on these things. I get the impression what happens when you've done that number of calls, that number of rejections, you get to learn what it means to actually qualify people properly. Because the
well,
reason you're getting so many objections and so much difficulty is because you're not qualifying. You're trying to throw things at a wall and hope it sticks.
yeah, so you learn, right?
Yeah.
Early days, like which vertical, which industry, what kind of
Mm,
people, what's the persona, what's the avatar, what you want to pitch, who you want to pitch, how to
mm.
do it, what's the list like all these things you just learn, right?
Yeah.
So I got better over the years, and I try to fine tune everything. I worked at Yellow Pages for 5 years too. So that's where advertising sales training that I had sales, and
Yeah.
we were the only here in Canada only unionized sales force with over 2,000 sales reps. It was a 1 year probation
Right.
to get through that.
Yeah.
So not everyone passes the probation. And in order to get through that, there's different levels. Yeah. So when I was there, this was probably 10 plus years
Mm.
ago. I was there for 5 years. So, if you think about it, that's 15 plus years ago. And
Yeah.
it was not as bad as it is today because everything's already evolved to digital. But at that time, it was trending, like changes were
No, at that
happening,
time
behavior was.
you were still, the majority of older people would still pick up Yellow Pages, and it was still a book about 2 inches thick, and you could still actually use it as a directory, couldn't you? They were still printing them.
Exactly. And it was the go-to place to advertise for over
Yeah.
a century,
Oh,
actually.
yeah, it was.
It was
Certainly
the
is.
only place. Like, yes, you can fax. Email wasn't around. Telephone was. Signage, flyers, newspaper, radio, television, trade shows. These were traditional media choices.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
today, like you fast forward to now having the internet, there's so many different ways to promote and
There was a
advertise.
massive transition, wasn't there? That year, between 2005 and 2012, there was a massive shift, those 6 years between that sort of point, away
Yeah,
from the traditional medias.
yeah, things were changing, and it was
Mm.
very fast because technology.
I'm also guessing that the crash probably did that because people coming out of the crash were looking for new ways of doing it quickly.
And it was more about like the speed of technology advanced so quickly because it was
Mm.
dial up to then 3G and our processing power of the computer.
Mm.
Remember booting your computer and taking like a couple minutes to load? Well, now you open up a MacBook and it loads instantly. Like email is instant because of not just speed of the internet, but just the processing power
Well,
of
I
the
must admit, the SSDs, isn't
laptop.
it? I mean, the SSD on my laptop in front of me is just like,
Yeah, the
it's just
RAM.
no,
Yeah,
the SSD drive, because you say you switch
solid
it
state
on
drive.
and it's instant. It's like, ah, fantastic.
Exactly. And that's what people expect today. But
Yeah, yeah,
it was never like that back in the
yeah.
day. Like not even like long
So
ago,
look,
15
you were
years
in
ago.
this business for 10 years. Where did it take you from there?
Yeah, so advertising sales to then starting this agency. So I've been running this SEO agency for 8 years now,
Yeah,
and I didn't know anything about SEO really. I knew that there was a need at Yellow Pages. A lot of people just
yeah,
frustrated,
yeah.
and I was doing advertising sales, so I was dealing with thousands of business owners, and they just told me like I needed someone I can trust to help me guide me to this digital frontier, right? Like how do I
Yeah.
get more exposure where people are now navigating and consuming information? And so I wanted to be helping them because they were like the family run businesses, the mom and pop community leaders, your friends, your neighbors, your people that you actually want to associate with.
Okay, we'll come back to your SEO agency. We've got there now. Let's travel back in journey now, back in time now, and look at the journey personally. So what was the driver for you? Because we'll come back to your agency. I'm not going to dump that. I just want to actually get back to what was the driver in your sales journey? What was it about? What was the passion for you?
Yeah, so as a sales rep, I Yes, I was driven by money at the beginning.
Well, everyone
But
is. No, yeah,
at the beginning, I had to pay off my debt. I
yeah,
was always trying to figure out like how do I make more, earn more, surround myself, and buy more. Like I never had a car, I gotta buy that. Living on my own, I gotta pay for rent. Survival, right? Like, so eventually, once you have a good stable income, then it's more about how do you evolve to the next level.
yeah.
Like I was in a mindset of should I get my MBA? Should I become more of a senior manager, a director, a VP, then go through the ropes to become a CEO? Like, yes, that could have been an outcome for me, but it could have taken a long time. And I don't know if I wanted to be in a corporate structure, right? Being in sales, I was fortunate to meet with so many business owners that every time I spoke to them, they gave me really good insights on what it really meant to not just run a business, but the purpose of life and what made them continue going, pursuing what they're doing, right? Like,
Mm.
that what really resonated with me because most of these business owners were 10, 20, 30 years older than me. So
Ah,
say I
yes.
was 30 years old or 25, they were in their 50s and 60s, and they had so much wisdom. And they gave me a lot of insight that I would never have read or watched or, thought of even learning from others.
See, this in a way, in some way, you're having the same journey or had the same journey as I get with podcasting because I get to speak to loads and loads of people along the same lines.
Yes.
And in a way, every conversation I have leaves me with something new. And
Yes,
that's what
that's
you were
correct.
doing. That's what you were doing in your sales
Monies,
exploration.
yes.
It was like you were
So,
having individual mentors each time.
yes.
Someone, yeah,
Exactly. So every year, every day, say I
yeah,
had 5 to 10 meetings, these are business owners, successful or not, they were able to run a foundational business, take care of their customers, adding
yeah.
value, unique selling proposition. They understood what it took. And then I was asking these deep questions like, what drove you to become a business owner? What drives you today? Right? What
Yeah.
inspires you to become who you are? Right? What keeps you going? What's your purpose? What's your KPI, like metric wise, money, revenue? It doesn't matter. It's about supporting the community, taking care of the family, making sure that they have abundance enough to travel or whatever it is, right? And actually, in my 20s, a lot of these business owners were like, I go on cruises, I travel. I went on my first cruise when I was 25 because of the people that I was talking to, business owners. And I didn't know anything about cruises. I was like, okay, I'm young, I'm single, let's go, right? So that's what I do. I like get
Did you enjoy
inspired.
it? I always get the impression cruises are for old people.
Exactly. So they basically informed me. They're like, no, you gotta just enjoy it because why wait? Right?
Okay.
Like if you think about that, that's what really inspired me to do what I do, right? Like
Yeah, yeah,
why
yeah.
wait for things? Go and make things happen. Go try different things. See if you like it or not. And at least you have your own, different perspective,
So
right?
would you recommend cruising?
So since then I've been on 20 cruises.
Oh, right. So you would recommend cruising then.
I've gotten all my friends and family to go on it. And just before this pandemic, I went on an Alaskan cruise and I went on a Caribbean one. So I've been on a Mediterranean, Asian, like you name it, I've tried it because that's what life is about, right? Like
Of
you got to
course.
go live
Yeah.
and don't hold things back, right? Like if you are passionate about traveling or doing something, volunteering, going on a mission and helping others or running a business, go and pursue it.
Absolutely, absolutely. And clearly you have. So what else did you discover from your daily mentors?
Oh yeah. So what really drove them was more about not just the business itself, but like why they were really doing it. Like Simon Sinek, the why, the real
Hmm.
driver, and it was really the community. I feel they served a purpose, and they were really adding value to people's lives. Let it be on an individual level because it was more bricks and mortar, but they were enjoying the whole process from helping real people get closer to why they needed the product and service, right? And they were just enjoying it. And it was slow and it was fine. They were living presently in the moment.
Wow. Wow. So these are great things to discover from other people. How did they resonate with you? I mean, how did you pick up on these things? Is that what you do yourself?
Yeah, so over the years, meeting these people and then meeting a lot of even colleagues while at Yellow Pages, I met again 2,000 Salesforce people, probably met with hundreds of them over the years, and then got to a level where I was able to go on the President's Gold Circle and travel and all this stuff. It was more about like figuring out what the top people even in sales was doing that were 50 and 60, right? Did they have a family? Were they living on their own? Did they drive nice cars? How did their daily life look like outside of work? Because I was really interested in the habits that they were doing to get them to where they are and the lifestyle they were living. So, just mimicking them, talking to them, surrounding yourself with positive influences, right? Molded me to the person I am. So I still surround myself with like people that are way older. Like it's weird, but I look forward to going to the gym before the pandemic to talk to people that are in their 70s.
Yeah. Because I used to do that as well. Because I go in the daytime, so you obviously meet older people in the daytime. They're quite true. So look, what's your success model? How do you define success for you?
Again, for me, success is different, right? Running a business is, yes, challenging. I feel the freedom of choice, being able to have abundance of access to information, knowledge, and the ability to do things at my luxury. And that I feel doesn't, you know, dictate how I do things in my daily living, right? So for me, success is just keep evolving, growing, and having fun.
Because what occurred to me, the danger is that you were looking at all these people and measuring yourself where you'd like to be relative to them. And that's the one thing I find that some people have is their success model is based on other people's version of success.
Yeah. So
and I think it's quite impressive that yours isn't.
So after talking to these people, I'm still grounded by my mom and my parents, right? My family is so inspirational to me and they mean everything. And so modeling hard work, modeling, making sure that, necessity is covered, but ensuring that we are always hungry, like we're always curious. So giving access to my son or my nieces and nephews and my friends. I mean, we are super fortunate to be living not just in a Western society with access to necessity, food, shelter, knowledge, insights, technology and all that. Just being grateful for the opportunity and taking control of it, doing something with it. Because a lot of people become complacent, right? I'm always hungry to learn more. I'm always growing. That growth mindset of like always hungry to read, listen, watch.
I can certainly see you're hungry to read. You must have at least 30 or 40 books behind you that I'm looking at the moment. So
yeah, there's hundreds of books and there's bookshelves below them. So I try to consume 1 to 2 books a week. And the big thing is it's interest. Whatever I'm interested in.
You don't do anything else other than read unless you're a speed reader.
Well, now I'm used to it, right? It's like anything, habits, right? And I had a health, journey. I learned about health, sales and marketing, business, entrepreneurship, real estate, traveling, whatever interests you have. There's tons of experts out there.
Absolutely.
And I'm also part of a lot of communities. I enjoy podcasting. And so there's a lot of interests. And whatever you're interested in, you can go out and learn it now that you have access to it, a lot of it.
There is no excuse. We have access to everything these days. There's, as I said, no shortage of information in this world. That's for sure.
Exactly.
There's just a shortage of attention. So what is your situation around contribution? How do you define your contribution to the world?
Yeah, so contribution is a big part of me too. My mom, again, she was a volunteer, even though she took care of 4 kids, right? She always took care of the community. So, back in, I would say in the early 2000s, she was front page news of the local newspaper because she was contributing to help new immigrants, newcomers to Canada, get situated properly, understanding how to navigate this entire health field, resources access, schooling, food, all that stuff. So it was already ingrained in me. I feel like my mom did a great job to let me know, like early days, I was always contributing to World Vision, right? Supporting children. And then as I evolved, it was more like the business, and I mentor a lot now. I help give back, not just charity and food and volunteer, but time, right? Time is one of the biggest, most precious things. And I feel like just being able to, contribute and give access to some others that don't know information, I feel I'm contributing in that sense as well. So
Fantastic.
we do a lot, like just for fun, because I have fun doing everything.
So, what's the one question that that you like people to ask you?
What
It's a mission question, you see. It's that, and it's like, yeah, what's the one thing that you like to talk about, I guess?
for me, like life, right, is short. So for me, I'm like the lifestyle that you pick and choose
Yeah.
is all also self-fulfilled, right? So you should always want to be curious more than anything. I'm always trying to wonder what other people are doing, but also bring it back to my life. And it's all perspective. And being fortunate enough to then be able to see different parts of the world, having traveled to all these different places, meeting so many different ethnicities and different types of individuals, I feel I'm much more informative in a sense that I I don't judge, because I know people comes from different situations, right? In
Mm.
different parts of the world. And I just want to help everyone know that there's good people out there, and surround yourself with, go out there and seek information. Don't be complacent. Don't wait for things to happen, right? Like the more curious you are, the more willing your ness that you have, like to want to talk and find
Um,
out what's going on in different people parts of the
I
world and
wonder where
situations.
curiosity comes from, because some people are just not curious. I've met some people who are just not curious. I am. I'm curious about people and I'm curious about things and how stuff works. But some people just have no curiosity at all. It's very strange how where that comes from.
I think because I didn't have much early days, right? So me being curious on how other people's lived, how other people's life was, right? Like
Yeah,
what
yeah,
is a birthday party, outside of your internal family? What is it like sleeping over to another house? Like I never had access to that, right?
yeah,
Just
yeah.
little things like that. And it didn't have to be big goals, like
Mm.
traveling to Bora Bora. I didn't even know what Bora Bora was, right? It was more about how do I travel outside of an hour away. I didn't have, I was more sheltered, and that was okay. And I was happy with
Well,
that.
you made up. Sounds like you made up for it big time by traveling the world, by the sounds of it.
So I have these books of like top 500 destinations. So last year or so during this pandemic, it was like me and my son just circling, where do we need to hit, travel to, and let's start planning, right? Like these are things that make us happy and want to,
Yeah,
enjoy.
absolutely, absolutely. So look, you are an SEO man these days. You obviously started your own agency. Do you want to tell us more about that?
Yeah, it's 8 years in the making.
Hmm.
Didn't really know anything about SEO. I just knew there was a need, and people, business owners wanted to go with someone they can trust.
Well, there's been a lot of change in SEO in 8 years. I mean, it's one of those places, SEO never stays still, does it really?
Exactly. So it's ever changing. It's fun if you're cut up for it. It's not for everyone because it's frustrating, it's challenging. A lot of time goes in to trying to figure it out. But it's all about like the time in, right? Just like in sales, you never give up. You just keep getting rejected,
So
right?
I mean, I think most people in my list will know what SEO is, but just give us a potted like description of what SEO actually means, just so we're all clear.
Yeah, search engine optimization. And
Yeah.
what that really means is Google, when someone types in restaurants near me, there's usually ads at the top of the search results. Then there's a map. And then below that is organic natural listings. So I help businesses uh, appear below the map, below the paid ads, but on the map and below the map, which is more organic in
So,
nature.
so, so
And
my understanding is there's kind of local SEO, which is the map and other things, and then there's more international SEO, which is more the organic search. Is that my
yeah, so
yeah?
Yeah, we take care of the map and below the map. So both local and international, organic in nature.
Okay, okay. And for people looking to do that, what is a good tip for someone who goes, "Oh, right, I've never tried SEO. What do I need to do?"
So I don't know if there's one good tip. There's because there's over 200 signals, right?
Oh gosh. Oh, right, we haven't got time for
It's ever
200.
changing. There's a lot of competition, and Google's always updating their algorithm like 9 times a day. So it's a battle. It's always changing, evolving. And what you want to do as a business owner is being the best version of yourself, being the thought leader, expert in your own business. So understanding what you differentiate yourself with, what's your story like, who you want to be known as, right, in your industry. Especially if you've been doing what you've been doing for 10, 20 years, you kind of know a little bit more than someone just starting off 6 months, 2, 3 years, right? So that's what experts are
I
all
always
about.
find that a puzzle though, because like one accountant and another accountant, their accountants are accountants.
Yeah,
It's
of
like how you differentiate from one to another.
course. But there's people that stand out. There's people that actually go and move the needle by, writing articles, speaking at associations, wanting to up level to become a thought leader, someone that actually writes a book. These are people that actually are not still, right? And they're not happy with just what everyone thinks the average accountant should be.
Hmm.
Um, so those are the movers shakers in the industry, and those are the people that I try to help become.
Hmm. So are there particular businesses that you look to work with?
I deal with professional services and trades, and also B2B customers. So service based typically, because they're much more established and they know how to run a business. I try not to want to teach people how to run a business. I want to go with someone that actually knows how to run a business. And then I work with good companies to make them great online.
And is that an international process, or do you work primarily in Canada?
So we have clients in Canada, US, UK, as well as Australia.
Well done. It's unusual to find. I know SEO can be anywhere, but it's quite something to get companies out, get business outside of yours. Okay, I guess is that because you niche in a particular marketplace?
No, so I don't have any specific industry that we focus on. Because of my background working at Yellow Pages,
Mm.
I understand how businesses run in a lot of different industries. And not only myself, like my VP of sales, he's been with me for over 5 years now, but he was at Yellow Pages for 30 plus years.
How many people do you have in your business then? How many people in the company?
So we have staff, 30 plus staff.
Oh
So for
wow.
us,
Oh, okay. So you are a
we,
seriously large SEO company, not that.
our company kind of is a boutique agency that does everything from content, dev, graphics, reputation, link building, everything to do with trying to compete with the big brands
Okay.
to helping the small, medium-sized business owners out.
Wow. Okay. Well, that sounds like you could support anybody on this podcast who wanted to up their game. You could be there for them by the sounds of it.
Exactly.
Okay. So how would they get in touch with if they wanted to?
They can check out my website. It's www.localseosearch.ca, based in Toronto, Canada, but we service people, business owners globally.
And do you have social links too that people can find you on?
Yes, we're active on all the social channels. I just don't manage it. So my team manages it all. I think we're on Twitter and Facebook,
So,
all the normal ones out
so
there.
people get in touch with you directly, or have you got layers and layers of people behind you?
So there's a couple layers. So for me, it's I have assistants and people.
Okay, well, I'm sure if someone is interested in getting in touch with, they will persevere. So all those links will be on the podcast notes above and on the website Life, Passion and Business. So look, John, it has been a great conversation. We are now at the final conversation, the final piece of the puzzle that makes up life, passion and business. And that is, what is the meaning of life, my friend? What is the meaning of life for you?
There's two things that really resonate with me. It's relationships and experiences. And that's what life is all about, right? The people you surround yourself with, you spend time with,
Yep.
and the things that you do with these people. And so that's why I love traveling. I love barbecues. I love spending time with my son as much as possible, being present, right? And that's even with my team. Like we go on trips and we get to know each other on a more intimate relationship friend environment, right? I mean, that's the joy and beauty of living. And the more we're able to live on your terms as well, having freedom to have choice, and then being able to surround yourself with people that resonate with you, then the happier you're going to be.
Well, John, thank you so much for your time today. It's been wonderful to be here together, and thank you.
Thanks a lot, Paul. It's been my pleasure.
All the best. And that was Life, Passion and Business with Paul Harvey and my guest, John Vuong. As you heard on the call, John has an SEO team ready and waiting to help. So you can find them at www.localseosearch.ca. You can also find them on Twitter, on Facebook and on Instagram. And you can also connect with John on LinkedIn. As usual, all of those links will be available at the website lifepassionandbusiness.com. Just a little reminder, I have a Sunday reflection that I put out every week. It's 10 minutes of reflections and thoughts about what has occurred over the last week. And on Sunday, we were talking about good and bad days. From my perspective, there is no such thing as a bad day. If you'd like to find out more about that, check out the shortcasts at lifepassionandbusiness.com or check them out on your app of your choosing. And that's it for this week. If you're enjoying this podcast, if you're enjoying any podcast, do please support your content creators with likes, shares, and reviews, because it's the reviews that power this industry and they help people like yourself find good podcasts. So it would be most appreciated if you could support us where you can. As always, thank you for your time and attention, and I'll catch you later. All the best.